everybody, and welcome back. This is the third edition of the Geek Authorities Talk About, and I'm Lorenzo Marchessi, your host. This time we're talking about a television series that kind of was brought back 2 years ago and kind of is making a resurgence in 2020, mainly because of the pandemic and the fact that Netflix has taken it on and included a third season for it. It's called Cobra Kai. And what's Cobra Kai? Sounds familiar? Well, in 1984, there was a film starring Ralph Macchio and William Zabka and a couple other very famous people called The Karate Kid. And believe it or not, 32 years later, they decided to reboot it and basically not redo it, but pick it up from where that film left off. Now, as you know, The Karate Kid was one a big, successful, financial, Academy Award nominated film. And it went on through lots of success, including the soundtrack. I grew up on it in high school. And here we have a panel of enthusiasts of the TV show Cobra Kai. And let's everyone introduce themselves and tell us when you first saw Cobra Kai. Raditha?
Hi, I'm Raditha, and we just finished Cobra Kai maybe a week ago. So it's pretty new for me.
Sebastian?
Hello, I'm Sebastian Munoz, and I'm a big Karate Kid fan and Cobra Kai fan. And yeah, just like Raditha, we just finished binge watching both seasons last week.
Heidi?
Yeah, my name is Heidi Appy, longtime Karate Kid fan. My top 4 movies of all time. And I just finished Cobra Kai. I binge watched both seasons together and just finished probably 3 days ago. And I'm a rabid fan. That's all it took.
Michael?
Hi, I'm Michael McRae. We saw Cobra Kai, I believe, about 2 weeks ago. We binge watched season 1 and then binge watched season 2.
Okay, what's interesting, all of you had said, I take it you saw episode 1, either somebody invited you to watch it or told you how good it was or whatever. Each of you tell me what made you not stop.
Well, for me, I think it was you, Lorenzo, that gave me the marching orders to just watch episode 1. You knew that's all it was going to take. The amazing adherence to the original franchise was just spectacular, and the nostalgia factor and the performances of the 2 leads out the gate are so just beautiful, and where they progressed the story to was so believable that you were just immediately entranced of like, I need to know now where these 2 are going to go.
Okay. Sebastian?
Yeah.
Oh?
No, I totally agree with that. Yeah. And I like that it started at a very low point, and you're like, well, can he come up from there, or what's going to happen?
I think what I really loved, just the writing is just so rich and so fun, and it does capture that. I think it's a big generation out there that we're still we're big fans of the 80s, that genre, those times, those films, and I think the writers just really captured the writing. And I think also the 22, 25-minute format really helps just flow. There's a lot of 45-minute, 50-minute seasons, and then you have to kind of pick and choose your time, but this just flies by because of the length of the episodes and the good writing and the demographic, obviously, right? That we know these characters, we know them, so it's not like you have to spend a lot of time on rebuilding or explaining who these people are. If you know who they are, great. And if you sit down and binge watch this with somebody that knows it, you can get people caught up pretty quickly with it.
Michael?
Yeah, I agree. The writing is great. It's really deep and rich, and even the sub stories of the daughters and the sons and friendships that are going on really make the story really well written.
Okay, let's start with this right here. This is where it all began. I found this on the internet. This is the original poster for The Karate Kid, Ralph Macchio and Pat Morita. He's got a longer first name. I can never pronounce it, but he always goes by Pat.
Noriyuki.
Is that how you say it?
Noriyuki.
Okay, there you go. If you notice this picture, this poster, apparently he autographed it. And as we all know, he has since passed. Great actor. Known as a comedian. He did stand up, and he was on Happy Days. And then we'll be showing a little clip later of him. This is the guy we really have to thank for Cobra Kai. This is Robert Mark Kamen. He's the guy who came up with the original story. He's the one who presented it to Jerry Weintraub, the producer at the time for Columbia Pictures, as well as was eager to get John G. Elvison to direct it. He's the guy who created all the characters, all the background, all the story. He's been involved with it ever since he did the sequels, as well as he was involved with the reboot with Will Smith, as well as, I don't know if you know, there was an animated series called The Karate Kid. He helped co-wrote and create that series. This is John G. Elvison holding up his Academy Award for Rocky, which is the first film he did and got recognition. He did other films before that. His second film was another underdog film called The Karate Kid. So he is the one responsible for the casting. He brought all this team together. He kind of made the chemistry happen, and with Mark's script, pretty much history was made. Any commentary on the film itself, Karate Kid?
Oh man, I think that's why we're here. We're going to be here all day. There's so many great things about it. One of the things I liked, you're talking about John G. Avildsen, and of course Rocky was so great. So like, what a great fit to move on and help Karate Kid, right? I thought that was really cool and insightful in preparation to make not just another teen movie, but something that even visually was just really powerful in the likes of Rocky, right? Like, because the cinematography was great in Rocky. So same thing here with Karate Kid.
Yeah, I just rewatched it in anticipation of this panel, and I mean, I was like, what made it one of my top 4 movies? And I mean, it really holds up. Everything Sebastian said, the direction, the story, the writing. There's several stories going on. There's an action story and a story of a bully versus not the opposite, but there's also a story about, you know, love and honesty overcoming, and they're the underdog story, and then just visually and cinematically, and I was like, yeah, it still holds up. Everything. I can see why there's a fervor.
You made a comment earlier too about the hair. I mean, if you watch it, it's pretty modern. There's no standout 80s looking.
Yeah, there's no, you know, like this. You never go, oh God, there it is.
Other than the cars are all of the 80s. So obviously it's there. And then, didn't they drive an old Buick or something, like an old mom and her son?
That was almost like an homage to Happy Days, I think. You know, like it was like he had a collection of old cars.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, let's move on to Cobra Kai. Now, we've talked about all kinds of aspects of it in terms of the writing and whatnot for as far as the producers go. Let's jump to, let's say, Kat. Tell me what you think of this guy. 35 years later, he's reprising a role.
I think it looks amazing. Like
just fantastic, completely believable, honest. I loved that both he and Johnny are both really complex characters, and neither one is the villain or the hero at all. They both have you know, big holes in their armor and in where their lives are. So I think that it's a really honest performance.
Don't you think he's approaching 60 years old now? Does he look a day over 30?
He looks incredible. Like, you're talking just like appearances, or what we think on the character? Because I mean, yeah, he looks
Just appearance wise, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Great.
How about this guy?
Love.
Heidi gets here.
so great.
He just runs so deep and so honest and so complicated, and just no matter how much of a villain he is, you're still rooting for him.
And what's interesting is he hasn't had a broad career like Ralph has. He's done The Outsiders. Ralph's done My Cousin Vinny, all kinds of, you know, Academy Award nominated films, winning films actually. But Bill kind of kept to the, I don't want to say the dark side, the light, the in the shadows in terms of his career. and then boom, he comes back and does this again and inhabits this character. So
Lorenzo, do you know that he's actually an Academy Award nominated documentarian?
actually, he won the
Oh, did
Academy.
he win?
Won the
Okay,
for a
that's
short.
incredible.
For a short, he did.
It's a big labor of love, right?
What? Yeah. How about this dude? New for the young people.
Solo Maradueña.
His name is,
Xolo.
but it's spelled Xolo.
So it's pronounced Xolo. Xolo Maridueña.
Okay. Any opinion?
And his name actually is Nahuatl for I can't remember. It's like dog and something else, like a combination of two words. It's pretty cool. But
Okay.
I think he's terrific. I think he's great.
Guys, what do you think?
Well,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I mean, I think he's got it all where it counts. I felt, I will admittedly say I felt like the high school cast is a little bit CW, but they all have it where it counts, and I think they've all grown into their characters as the seasons progressed. So, thumbs up.
I think this guy, I think Tannen Buchanan does the best job in terms of the kids. I think this guy shows a range. He's got an intensity, and he's not loud about it. I think most of the other casts the kids tend to be a little loud, a little in your face. Where this guy's anger and frustration comes from, he doesn't say a lot. When he does, it's kind of poignant for me. I don't get the cat, like you guys are saying, they're kind of 90210-ish. I don't get that at all. I get more that they're trying to grab the market of today, and 90210 is not the market of today anymore. So I think this is the perfect casting for the times. And remember, these were cast 2 years ago. So even moving forward, I think they've progressed a lot. Now, you guys don't like Tannen?
No, I like the characters. I think what Heidi's saying, that it seems like they're obviously going for a certain demographic, right? And kind of bridge that 30-year gap and bring Karate Kid to a whole new generation of kids. Just like you mentioned and like what Heidi mentioned. But they've been fine.
Okay. Yeah, overall great. They're a little broad, but again, they are trying to capture a different demographic. So.
That's the sister,
I think the mix is that
Mary Mouser.
Daniel and Johnny and all the other characters that we already know, they're already established. So these people we're learning to know, and we're getting to know. So the show has to deal with. We already know Johnny and Daniel's story, and then I think it's a tall order, because now we have these new characters that we're forced to learn as to why they make the decisions that they do.
Okay, I'm going to be the devil's advocate here again and say I disagree. I think the majority of this audience isn't people like us. If you look at the demographics for who's watching, it is a younger crowd. What they did is they sewn into the people like us who love the first one, the familiarity, so that we would stick around. It's got all the action, it's got the drama, it's got the the angst of high school and all other stuff. But the sub story is for us. The main story is these younger characters and how the parents are dealing with it. And then for the people who have never seen Karate Kid, which the majority of the people haven't, are getting hooked into this because, wow, these are the backstories of the two. The rivalry is paralleling to the rivalry that's existing in the families. I don't want to get into, I've read, I've watched and all that other stuff, but the bottom line is the producers were creating something that they could market, and this was originally on YouTube, which is where that generation watches their television these days. To bring us into it, the mass market, we are paying for Netflix kind of thing, was the aspect of let's make it homey, in a home show. And the lessons that are learned, I think the fathers are learning from the sons are learning from the fathers. I think the brothers and sisters are teaching the parents. I think their intention was to make it a family-friendly kind of environment with a lesson of life undertone based on the original film. and what the characters have to bring into it. For example, this guy, Jacob Bertrand, he went from a timid, picked on kind of character to one of the leading jerks of the Cobra Kai group. And if you saw the season 2 closing, you'll know, where they're all at. I mean, they're all pretty much, what's the word? At angst with each other.
Lorenzo,
Yeah.
can I say something going back to the overall, themes of the show? For me, I feel like it's really telling Johnny's story. And for me, it's mostly focused on Johnny, and I think it's brilliant how they added in all of these other elements to it to help it appeal to a wide audience. But the part that I love about it is his redemption story, basically.
Okay, without giving away spoilers for those who haven't seen it, do you feel that he's been redeemed yet, or we've got?
Not yet. Oh no, he's on his way. Not yet.
Because season 2 closes with a really kind of sad, shocking.
Brutal. Yeah.
This is Mom. Mom is the only character, I think Heidi and I have talked about this, that I feel is not cast properly. Good actress, looks beautiful, but I don't know, doesn't.
I don't really feel the chemistry between her and Daniel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't quite work.
Anybody else want to chime in on her?
Maybe it's by design, and I don't think either one of Johnny and Daniel have really let go of Allie, and whenever you have that, you're holding on to that, it's going to be hard to overcome that, right? So I agree with you. She's a fine actress. She's done well, but it's hard to be that. It's hard to be that the everyday person when you're surrounded by all these really rich, very diverse characters. So like Daniel and Johnny, they're the yin to the yang. They're the ones that truly balance each other. And she's always seemed like she's been on the outs, and I think maybe it's by design, and maybe that's why we don't care for her as much.
Yeah, because I haven't heard if Elizabeth Shue, who played Allie, is coming back yet officially, because they're not in production. But I don't think Daniel at all has any kind of thing for Allie. He has a fondness for her, and he cares about her, and he likes her. But I think William Zabka is the one that's got still heartstrings for her. This character was fun. Nicole Brown. She kind of went to the Cobra Kai. Any commentary on her?
Yeah, I think she's a really likable character, a great addition.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Even though she's
really likable character. Yeah, she's got a really cool, relatable underdog quality to her.
Okay, you can barely see this. I love this actress, Vanessa Rubio. She plays
Miguel's mom.
Carmen,
Yes.
Miguel's mom.
yes, very good actor.
Yeah,
And
lovely. Yeah.
her
Yeah.
and Bill Zabka click really well, I think.
Yeah. Great chemistry.
That montage sequence, man, and it's so good.
Yeah.
What do you think of her? This is Hannah Keppel.
I like her.
As she kind of mixes the pot up, causes
Yeah.
trouble.
But
Well,
she's
and get
also
by their start basically by dating Hawk. Well, maybe the two girls, but I think as far as Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do, she was trying to make peace.
well, she's the one that was dating Hawk, right?
Yeah.
So she confronts Hawk and tells him, "Hey, I don't like who you are. I need to go away because I don't like what you turn to." And she's the one that's hosting the party, and they're all trying to stop her. She's like, "Guys, can we all be friends? We're ending school." And she tries to be more the peacekeeper.
Okay. This is
Right.
Gianni Vincenzo. If I say that right.
Dimitri.
Dimitri.
One
One of the most annoying characters.
Yeah, I would chime in to say I feel he's a little bit overwritten. Again, it's not written for my demographic, so I don't want to speak too much to it, but it did feel overwritten. Like we always had to pause for him to do his monologues about all of his, stuff, and but there might be people that really love that and need that and relate to that. But I felt like, okay, okay,
I agree, Heidi.
Yeah.
a little bit, yeah, a little bit much. But he did great with it. I mean, they're good, good actor. Yeah.
He does have his moment, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely got his moments, and I love that what's the word? Not trope, but with the teaching method that Daniel uses. He's the one that where it actually backfires, and kind of in a good comedic way. Not to give a spoiler, but there are moments that really shine with him.
I'm Paul Walter Hauser.
Yeah, he's funny.
I felt his comedy was a bit non sequitur because the show already has, like you said, has really good, honest comedy in it. But he does great. Like as an actor, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's fantastic. I think he's doing exactly what they're asking of him.
I remember, Heidi, you contacted me and asking me why did he tape his bottles to his hands. Does anyone figure that one out?
Well, it's about not being able to ever put your drink down and always have it available.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, because there's alcohol in each one.
Is that something that people do to you, or do you do it to yourself?
Well, it looks like something that somebody would do to you, but like it.
Okay,
It's a silly drinking game, kids drinking game apparently, and like he feels like he fits with teenagers apparently.
They didn't show his hands being taped.
Right, exactly. So it just was all of a sudden there.
Yeah, he just showed up like that.
Like yeah. That it felt a little non sequitur at the time. Going
Martin Cove, the bad guy.
Iconic, man.
Bad guy.
Oh, he's
He's
so
a bad guy.
he does so well.
So iconic. From Rambo
So
to Karate
iconic.
Kid to you love to hate this guy.
30 something years later, and it's like you really believe he has lived that character, that character has had a life all of these years, and he's just now on camera again. I mean,
Yeah.
freaking brilliant performance.
And he's been creased for 36 years, right? Or like what?
Yeah.
He's in his 70s too, so his acting chops haven't gone.
And he looks great.
He does, yeah, absolutely.
That's Martin with the writer, Robert Mark.
That's awesome.
Notice he's got some sort of, I want to say hospital band next to his watch there. I wonder what that's about.
Or is it a hospital band, or is it like one of those things they give you when you go to a special event?
Oh, it says on the set, so maybe you needed one to approach this set. Very cool. Okay, so
What images. Thanks, Lorenzo.
Yeah.
okay, let me see here. Let's jump to. All right, I'm going to pop up some scenes, and let's talk about either the scenes or the performances, or how you reacted to when you saw them. Now, don't get too emotional now. This is the first one I chose.
Aw.
Any reaction?
I
mean, come on.
I thought that looked like a bonsai. I think it is a bonsai tree.
It is.
I thought it looked ginormous, and I also thought it was curious that his death, Mr. Miyagi's death date is 2011, even though Pat Morita's death date was 2005. So that made it curious that they've consciously given him the character a different date of death. So that made me wonder if they're consciously writing some backstory that might be revealed in season 3.
That's a great point. That's a great point. This is the episode that was dedicated to Pat Morita, wasn't it?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
just for people who have never seen the series, they intercut a lot of scenes from the original movie. And they kind of do flashbacks mainly, but there are some sentimental moments, and this is one of those moments where he was remembering one of Mr. Miyagi's lessons. Keep in mind, he's not with his wife and kids because he lost them in Okinawa during the war.
Right.
So It's just his tombstone. And I'm guessing the LaRussos, because they got that car dealership and they're pretty wealthy, probably paid for his tombstone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
clearly he's keeping up his buns.
It's very emotional and a very touching. But I would like to point out that apparently that the LaRussos are so rich that they bought the entire plot right there where the tombstone is, because there's not a tombstone in sight next to them. But so they must have bought that hill.
Or they haven't sold the plots yet. Or this is California, Reseda, or wherever he is.
It is pretty nice. It was a very touching moment. I mean, especially with that's what he's trying to find his balance and trying to find answers. Right? He's so lost.
One of them. How about this?
One of True.
Yeah.
This is a Miyagi-Do. What do you call it?
Miyagi-Do karate.
This was great, and I really, one of the things I loved, one of the many things I loved was watching who chose where to go. Because in the original movie, that was not a choice. It was just Daniel and then Cobra Kai. And so this is beautiful. Now there's these moments where the students decide, no, I'm going over here, I'm going there. And then it divides again toward the end of the season 2 without spoiling it. So I like that. I like how they just show up. They just show up and you're like, okay, those are the kids I thought. Okay.
It's like friendships divided, right? Because like it was like the geeks and the guys that felt picked on went to Cobra Kai, and then some of the other ones that might have been cool kids, or even those friendships got further divided, and then they ended up in Miyagi-Do. So it's an interesting dynamic
and like some of the kids that are being picked on in the same way that, say, Aisha is an underdog and chooses Cobra Kai. There are underdogs who choose Miyagi-Do, so it's interesting. There's a lot to explore there.
Yep.
Yeah.
The animated series.
Wow.
It's funny because Daniel in this to me looks like Miguel.
Oh! Yes.
Foreshadowing.
The way that it worked was Pat Morita did a introduction to every episode. And he wasn't a main character. He did show up in a couple of them, but there was another Japanese teacher and this other guy or girl, I think maybe, that were helping Daniel go through his adventures. This was Comic-Con. This is the announcement 3 years ago, before they did first season, that they were coming back and doing the show up for YouTube.
Wow.
Even Ralph Macchio looks even younger than he does. he just
he looks 10 years younger, even though it was only 3 years ago.
He's fresh out of My Cousin Vinny in this picture.
Yeah.
Remind me to have Radith and I tell you a story about meeting William Sapka later.
Oh, serious?
Wow.
What'd you guys think of this scene?
I'm trying to remember what scene that's at the beach.
Yes.
That's at the beach.
It was such a throwback to the original beach scene, right?
Yeah.
In the movie.
Where the other guy, the other lead, I can't say his name.
Miguel or Xolo?
Xolo, was drunk, and they come to see him totally inebriated.
Yeah.
Great scene. I believe this is the Halloween, just before the Daniel kicks him out. I forget why Bill Zabka's going there, but eventually
he's trying to promote Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
Putting up the pamphlets.
Anytime these two are on screen together, it's magic. Magic. Just magic.
Good chemistry.
Yeah. Yeah.
How about the cafeteria where Daniel jumps up Miguel jumps up and shows his stuff.
It was a great fight scene.
Great fight scene.
Totally enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Oh, back at Comic-Con. Oh, hey.
That was great. Now that was a good mom moment when she comes in and she goes, "Oh, are we gonna do this now?"
It was great.
Two grown men in my yard. Like
Blood. Yeah,
that was a great script moment there.
That's such a real life moment. Like he still has a cell phone in his hand. Like it's real life. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to break it, but I hear
Like
I'm
I'm
still paying on
expecting a call, but I'm also going to break you.
it. Exactly.
And remember when Mom invites him in, and then they're like, "You want to go? Talk this out over
You want
over
to
dinner?
talk about
Even breakfast.
Breakfast.
See,
I can eat."
This a flashback?
yeah. I mean, come on, this is like epic.
By your size, I take it it's emotionally impactful.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mercy is for the weak.
And there was something powerful in the reverence that Kreese gave him just because of his presence and the promise that he was making and the deal that he was making. I always loved this scene because Kreese could have maybe, tried to attack him, but he didn't. He just goes, okay. Yeah, there's just, I don't know, there's something very, very powerful about this scene.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
They kind of upstaged LaRusso.
this was
Yeah.
this was season 2. That's right.
Right. This is at, I think this is at Valley Fest, right?
It's Valley Fest.
Right.
Yeah. And yeah.
Like Raditha and I are like, where is there a Valley Fest? Like we should go find it. We never seen a Valley Fest. I want to go to Valley Fest. We live in the valley. We should know where Valley Fest is.
I know. It looks like it's right there.
Yeah, totally.
It's around the corner.
Right, like I've driven by Valley Fest.
Karate Kid 2.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Fun fact, so apparently Karate Kid 2 was filmed in Hawaii. But for future stuff, I guess they're actually going to be going to Okinawa.
Oh,
Wow.
It's just crane kicking everywhere. Crane kick everywhere. And they're doing the jets, and it's like very West Side Story.
So apparently, for the flashback scenes, they used never before seen footage that they had to pull out from their archives.
Oh, wow.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Different angles, yeah.
Different angles so that you'd have more of a sense of Johnny's point of view and Johnny's sort of his experience where he was
Yeah.
coming from at that time.
That's
Yeah.
brilliant.
Like
Yeah, right.
like Rocky, John G. Ellison had about 30 cameras set up all over this arena. Full audience, different, handheld, stock, sticks, and the whole bit. And so a lot of that footage end up nowhere. But it's the actual footage from obviously the scene.
Right,
A
exactly. Yeah.
filmmaker like no other, man.
Strike first, strike
Right.
hard, no mercy. I think the best thing about what William Zabka is doing is the fact that he's the fish out of water. When he does the whole advertising for Cobra Kai, he doesn't, he yells at his kids, make sure you put hash browns on the interweb or whatever he says.
Oh yeah,
So
that
brilliant.
was one of my favorite lines. Send it to the internet.
And I don't even know how you write
Nailed it.
scenes when like Miguel's phone goes off and he's like, where's that coming from? And it's coming from his cell phone. It's like, how do you even write that? It must have been like one of those. It's like what kind of music is that? Get rid of that. Get some Guns N' Roses.
And for the young
Oh,
when
yeah.
he says, "What's Facebook?" It's like, "What's Facebook?"
Where have you
Yeah.
been? Iraq? I mean,
However, I will point out one little. I don't know if it's an anachronism, but he was when Daniel showed him Allie's page. Sorry for the spoiler alert. You can block me out for saying that. When he shows when Daniel shows Johnny a particular page, he knows to click on a link. So I'm just saying, if he didn't know what Facebook was, he wouldn't know how to click on a link. I'm just saying.
And another line that I liked is when he's wanting him to use music on his Instagram. Like, yeah, put on that video and then throw some Guns N' Roses on there. It's like, well, Sensei, we're gonna have some trouble with copyrights. It's like, what do you mean copyrights? I own the music. I have it in a tape in my car.
Yeah, that was great.
Such great lines, great writing, great
his
writing.
scene of just discovering the internet was like, that would be all of us. That's exactly the transgression we would all take. It's like,
And his fascination for Iron Eagle cracks me up. Just loves Iron Eagle, boy. Oh man, so good.
Good movie, the first one. Okay, let's talk about your overall kind of concepts of. Let's start where where would you like to see the series go with the characters?
well, are we allowed to do spoilers, Lorenzo, at all, or just be vague?
Vague is better, but if you can do,
Okay.
we want people to watch the show for good reason.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think I'm really loving of course, the story, the journey Johnny is taking, and I will watch that wherever it goes. I love the setup. I love that the very last moment I thought of the last episode was just so profound. It was sad, but also hopeful. And there's a lot of talk as to whether Allie will come back and if she's related to one of the high school characters. And so, I mean, yeah, I'm definitely in the team Allie making a cameo camp.
Anybody else want to chime in on that?
I mean, I'm not sure how much more they can do with it. I think season 3 feels like it should probably wrap up the story. But yeah, the things that I'm hoping to see in season 3, are pretty much what everybody else hopes to see, I'm sure.
Michael?
Yeah, I agree with Praditha. I kind of want to see the story wrapped up. I'm wondering how much more they can add, anything new. The phone call at the end of the season 2 was a great surprise. I'm hoping happens, so we'll see. But I'm wondering if they have enough material to go on to a season 4.
Well, I'm sure they do. You guys forget, Miguel, spoiler, is going to have a few health issues in season 3.
True.
Yeah,
Well,
that's what I'm
there's
really
there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff to look at. I obviously have a lot of opinions and a lot of ideas. Sorry, but the fact that Allie happens to be a pediatric surgeon, I don't think is by coincidence. They set it up earlier in the season, and then considering what happens and what the finale brings to us, I think there's a connection there. I think there's unresolved things in Okinawa. You got to remember that Mr. Miyagi and his best friend Sato were trained by his dad, so there's a lot more Miyagi-Do stuff to learn. I think Daniel only learned a portion of it, and there's a lot more for him to learn. And if you've seen the trailer for a little mini hint of season 3, this is not a spoiler because Netflix put this out. Daniel's going to Okinawa. And the person that he's supposed to meet out there is Chosen, which is the guy he fought with at the end of Karate Kid 2, and said there's a lot more to Miyagi-Do karate that you don't even know. And Chosen was trained by Sato, who was trained by Miyagi's dad. So there's a lot of storylines, and now it looks like there's going to be potentially 3 different types of dojos with with what's going on at the wrap up. I've always felt that Daniel's always talking about balance, and Mr. Miyagi's saying you got to find balance, and neither Johnny or Daniel can find it. And I think my personal opinion is that Daniel and Johnny are each other's balance, and until they can resolve their relationship and their friendship, will they truly find the balance? And they're going to probably end up being the best friends that they never knew they could be for each other. And you're still ignoring Karate Kid 3 because Kreese is not going to be left alone. You got Terry Silver, you got Mike Barnes that you could also bring in and introduce. So I think we could see potentially it even into a 4th, maybe in a 5th season of material.
Yeah, and even if I dare say they just follow the characters, and even if the karate becomes a little bit secondary, I can see a story arc just with the characters and like Sebastian said, the balance between them and in their own lives. One other side point I was just gonna make, and if you Google Tori's character right now, the very first thing that comes up is maybe a real, maybe a fake character page that calls her Tori Schwarber. And that's not actually her name. Her name is actually Tori Nichols, apparently. So the second thing you see is Tori Nichols. So there is like somebody really planting seeds that Tori is Allie's daughter. So I don't know how much of that is completely just fan push for the idea, or who's planting these ideas. But it's just a side note that I found intriguing.
Very much so. There's a lot of stuff out there,
Yeah.
and there's unresolved stuff with Chosen, but I agree. The alley story has got to come into play. They've been keeping the IMDb pages very quiet. I think they finally confirmed the guy who played Chosen on IMDb, and I think they finally confirmed it on IMDb that they were keeping it quiet. And I think now it's out.
There's
I
another
believe.
character that hasn't made a direct appearance, which is Freddie, who was Daniel's very first friend at the apartment complex. But apparently I don't know if you noticed this, there's apparently an Easter egg that he's in when they're in the freezer scene, and there's Fernandez Frozen Meat Company is what's the freezer section that they're in. And that's Freddie. Apparently, that's Freddie.
That's his business?
He made it into his making bacon.
That's awesome.
I noticed that.
Like that's like a deep cut.
There's also one of the Cobra Kai that hasn't been in, and that's because he's a professional racer now. And both Mark Kamen and Zabka and what's his name, Ralph, tried to get him to come in. So in the story, he's in prison.
Yeah.
Theoretically, he could come back, but
Is this
Yeah.
McQueen? The guy who plays Dutch? It's something McQueen, right? That's Steve McQueen's son, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Huh.
it is, which has. I'm just. He's a professional race car driver. And
Apparently, he retired after he stopped acting after Karate Kid because he just like acting's not my thing and went on to do something else. The guy that played Dutch. You're right. Good call.
Wow.
You can't ignore that episode in season 2 though with the Quiver Cobra Kai reunion.
Oh.
You know,
And apparently, the actor Tommy has passed.
Ron Garrison, a toast to Ron Garrison who played Tommy. Right?
Yeah.
He didn't look well in the episode. And apparently 6 months after the release of the season, he passed, unfortunately.
of cancer, he really had cancer.
And apparently he said he loved every minute of it. So
Did you see the homage? Because you know one of his famous lines is like, get him a body bag, yeah.
Dog. Yep.
And he had to laugh, like, hey. And at the episode, you know, what it ends up happening in the episode, and it's like poetic, very, very poetic.
Yes. And that was from my research, that was by design.
I didn't know what I could say. I didn't want to give away spoilers. Sorry, I'm trying to watch what I say because I don't know if I should give away spoilers.
Some broad plot points are kind of out there. So
We want to get people who watch this. We want to get them to check out the show. And like I told Heidi, just watch episode 1. If you get through episode 1 and not want to watch episode 2, not for you. But
And it's not for you. You're right.
here's my question to everybody. What in one or two words, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 words, why should people watch this show? And let's go around. Michael.
Oh, geez. If you liked Karate Kid, the original movie, and the movies that followed, this is a great continuation of that story. Well written, deep writing, multiple sub stories too.
Rita?
Yeah, I mean, I would say nostalgia. If you're at all familiar with the old movies, and just heart and just really well developed characters.
Sebastian?
Yeah, I echo what everybody said, the nostalgia aspect, and I think everybody can relate to these characters because we all have things and demons and things that we battle every day, and they just have these people go out battling it because they're very real. I think they're written real, and it's very refreshing to see a series that has that. So it's got the perfect combination and balance of it all. Like you should definitely watch it, and because of the nostalgia and all these factors, and
I,
the comedy is clever and witty and great too. So it's refreshing.
Heidi?
Yes, no, I agree with all. And there's also a really cool storytelling aspect of that's it feels very unique in that you can relate to the characters when you were young, and now you're watching how they live their lives and how their choices have affected who they are now. And it's really cool to see how they've taken their lives, and it's so believable how it's been written that you never like eye roll or anything. You just are completely invested in watching how they're living, how how they deal now.
Wow. And for me, I'm just going to say it's the writing. I'm a big fan of it ain't on the page, it ain't on the stage. The writing is so well done. Even with the casting a little bit off, it just makes you want to go and learn more about the characters for me. And I think that says a lot about any series these days. The fact that YouTube let it, gave it to Netflix to finance and so on to take it over because it's going to get a much broader audience now on Netflix worldwide. It'll be great to see these stories told and not only for the nostalgia, but for the current kids at the time and how to deal with bullies, how to deal with, peer pressure and all this other stuff. I think it does that very well. Now, don't get too emotional, but I want to show you, I want to give you a piece of information first. When Karate Kid was being cast, Jerry Weintraub, who's the guy who green-lighted the project for Columbia to release it, had real issues with casting. And this is what I'm about to show you is Pat Morita himself telling you about how he got the job. So take a look at this.
The big guy, Jerry Weintraub, didn't want me for this. He wouldn't even consider me for a reading. Every time my name came up in the casting submittal process, he was adamant. He says, I don't want a comedian. I don't want a comic actor for this role. This is a heavyweight part. I want an actor. In all of America, there's got to be some kind of an actor. We'll find it. And they did. They tried. They interviewed everyone. And finally, we're getting down to the wire. And John Avildsen, to his credit forever, God bless him, boy, he says, look, I really don't care what Jerry says at this point. I want to read everybody, and I mean everybody, including people we haven't even covered yet. So as part of the cattle call process, I took part in that. Very, very, very tail end. Now, this is, again, how an actor especially knows that the gods are with you, although you don't realize it in fact. I had my longer hair and the beard. And I'd never done that before. I was living in Hawaii. I was down in the dumps again. The career was on a slide, and I'm working in Hawaii, taking what work I can find, nightclub comic work, writing copy for commercials, doing whatever. Fundraiser MC things for politicians and stuff, and barely making a living, but making a living. And for some reason, I said to myself, yeah, I've never seen myself letting all this, just let everything kind of go. I know people are going to start calling me the hippie instead of whatever, but I didn't care. And I, ironically, not knowing about the project or anything about Craig, came back to the mainland, re-signed with my then agent for another 3 years and whatever, and was literally on my way back to Hawaii because there was nothing else to do here. There were no parts, no offers that I knew of. Walking out the door of the agent's office, and I hear this big bellow from his office window. Pat Morita, where the heck is Pat Morita? I got to find me. And this Secretary Sarah says, he just walked out the door, sir. Pops his head out and says, Pat, get your butt back in there. You got to read the script. I think it's perfect for you, right? So I do. I like the part. Make an appointment to do a reading for John Avildsen, and he's the only guy in there. Usually there's a casting person and a producer and a writer and somebody, just me and him. And I love to share the story of my first time meeting with John Avildsen. I walk in and I meet a half a man. What do you mean? Well, he's got a camera on this side and a battery pack from here over, and this side's talking to me. He's looking at me. Hi, Pat, John Avildsen. Nice to meet you. Would you like to sit down and tell me a little bit? So he's taping this thing, right? And we talk, tell me a little bit about yourself, about myself. Would you like to read? Yeah, pages to read. I pick out two of the toughest scenes in the script, which hadn't even been staged or choreographed, just working off the top of my head, improvising virtually, and read. And thank you very much. Nice to meet you, etc., etc. And as I leave, he says, Pat, don't you want to take your script with you? You might need it. That's the first little teeny tiny glimpse of maybe I got a shot at something, right? So, and I learned this later on. We're in a pre-production meeting a few days later, and they're talking about the various things that got to be done to collectively pull the company together and all the usual myriad of problems. And during the process, John reaches over and clicks on the monitor. And Mega Mogul Jerry, starts talking about all the business, and he looks over and he goes, hey, wait a minute. That's a Miyagi. That looks like a Miyagi. Who the hell is that actor? And John says, that's the Pat Morita you refused to read for this part. The rest is history. They bring me in 5 times. They want to see if I can do it again. Then they bring Ralphie in, fly him in from New York. They want to see if there's chemistry. We do it, they make us do it again. This time in costume, in front of the studio heads. The 5th time they bring me in, we went on a cold blank outline stage, no sets, nothing, but in costume. But they shoot it this time. Of course, they've been shooting the process all along the road, this time for real. And to Jerry's credit, he gets on the horn and says, Pat, I almost made the worst mistake of my life. I just want to be the first to congratulate you. You got the part of the act. So that's why Miyagi talk like this, because you run out of energy.
Wow.
So great.
That made me tear up.
That was really something.
That's who I'm drinking to, Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah.
Mr. Miyagi.
I mean, that film wouldn't have been what it was without Mr. Morita, and his genius, and the fact that he was exhausted and used that voice as his character.
Just him doing it at the end, I got chills, just like, and just hearing that laugh. Oh.
And then here's the thing. Can you imagine anyone else now doing the role? Well, they gave it to Chan, but
God bless Jackie Chan, but sorry. Sometimes you gotta just learn how to just leave well enough alone and just.
Absolutely. Well, if you knew the list of remakes they're doing of 80s movies, there's a lot of them. So get ready. War Games, by the way, they're going to remake it again. So.
Okay, I'll have to prepare for that.
Wow.
Well, there's like I saw a collage of like 5 or 6 different horror movies that are being remade, like The Exorcist and all. I'm like, what?
Why?
Why are you what? Okay.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, like there's no original scripts out there, no books, other books that have never been made. There's nothing.
There's no writers in Hollywood anymore.
That frustrates me. That's why we like to focus on original work, because otherwise, like, it's like we're just recycling these ideas. Like really?
The performance was spectacular, in my opinion. It was so powerful is that he had this character that was so deeply connected, and you don't even see that until the scene when Daniel walks in and Mr. Miyagi is drunk and has his wife's photo up, and all of a sudden his entire life before he came here opens up to Daniel in that scene. And in that scene, Pat Morita is living that, and you didn't know it existed until that moment, and then it's there, and it was always there, and it was just, yeah, I mean, that's a credit to how powerful the movie was made and plotted, and the scene was structured, but also just Pat Morita, holy cow.
Right.
Oh my God, and he's so tiny,
Beautiful.
short character, actor, and he had so much power in his very
Yeah.
words.
Just the how he just resided in
It's just another example of people who are just comedians, but like it all comes like that comedy. Then the people can just really channel those emotions, like Robin Williams, Pat Morita. I mean, even Jim Carrey to a degree, when he's done some dramatic work, it's been really solid. So like it's
You're attributing-
incredible.
You're attributing it to, like, you mentioned Pat was a comedian or whatever, but you got to realize if you're an actor, you should be given the chance to prove that, especially at the audition process, that you can do the job. And what's ironic is Jerry Weintraub did not want to see Pat Morita because he was on Happy Days and he was a comedian, and who ends up getting the role? Pat Morita.
Right.
So, now let's give credit to Cobra Kai. A lot of Pat Morita is in the Cobra Kai. There's this, when Daniel loses his medal, that was really, it's like, oh, and there's a scene where he's building the Cobra Kai. What does this mean? Or, what's the first rule?
Karate never for only for defense.
And rule number 2 is learn rule number 1.
Learn rule number 1.
Oh, right.
Those are actual moments from the movie recreated for his new students, so to speak.
And I believe that's the actual yellow car from the actual movie. I believe they gifted it to Ralph Macchio, and he's kept it.
Wow.
Isn't that great?
Said, yeah, let's do it. So when they trashed it, I was like, no.
Oh, that was brutal. Washable paint.
Any closing comments for people who are watching this about Cobra Kai? And obviously we gave reference to the Karate Kid and Cobra Kai and so on and so forth. But any closing comments about the series?
I can't wait for season 3, where the story's going, and after Sebastian spoke about the rest of the movies, maybe they do have enough for a season 4
and 5 and 6
and 5.
I just hope they ended when the time is right and not try to continue to milk the cow and just do right by it.
Well, for me, it's give it an ending. Actually, give it an ending.
Yes. Yeah, closure, proper closure. Yeah.
I
think my comment is Netflix. I know the season's done. Release it. Release it now, Netflix. I'm looking at you. We want it now, not next year.
Yeah.
Done? I thought it hadn't even begun filming. You mean it's actually done filming?
Season 3 is done. It's ready to go. They're just
seriously?
holding it till next year. Yep.
Yeah.
Why did I get that wrong?
Come on. We need some hope in 2020. Release it.
Yes.
I
That and Candyman, please. That's a whole different panel.
Say that again, Lorenzo?
I hadn't heard it was completed at all.
It's completed. They had 4 episodes completed by the end of last year, and they finished all like the beginning. So the entire I have some friends in production that know that it's done and in the can. But what appears is because Netflix did the acquisition and they wanted to help build a fan base with these first 2 seasons, and now just hold on to us. But like I think if you wait too long, it's like don't wait too long, man. Like.
No. It's marketing. Right now, they're marketing the heck out of it, and
exactly.
It's going to get a global audience, which it never had before.
Exactly.
And that's. So,
Yeah, but the third season is ready to go, and they're working on seasons 4 and 5, writing and developments and everything.
what about you? Any closing?
Yeah, I can't recommend it highly enough. I think everybody should watch it and enjoy it. It's worth it.
Heidi?
Yeah, give it a shot. Absolutely.
Take one episode at a time, right?
Yeah, start with an episode. I mean, I think the first episode is a good microcosm of the entire series, but it gets stronger and stronger and stronger.
Mhm.
And
As we
it's
found-
always true to the original franchise, and it's just such a joy to watch characters that you love now.
As Heidi found out, she watched one episode. I think she texted me like at 1 a.m. I'm on episode 4. And I'm like, go to bed.
Yeah. And I think it took maybe 24 hours for the entire series to be done. I would just keep texting him, like, here we are with, like, I forget what, I would quote a word because I'd know he'd know exactly where I was. And he'd be like, yep, got it.
Okay, everybody. I want to thank everybody for attending today. Cobra Kai is an amazing show. Everyone should watch it. Thank Michael and Raditha and Heidi right there, and Sebastian's over here. This is the Geek Authorities Talk About Cobra Kai for this episode. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, it's somewhere. I don't know if you guys want to help me point where the subscribe button is. It's somewhere here. Click the little bell. It'll send you reminders. I have 2 of the shows. I have the Geek Authority show. I have Unboxing, the Geek Authority, and I have the Geek Authority's Mysterious Chamber of Collectibles. Yes, it's all there, as well as a commentary show. So hopefully you'll tune in, like it, and share. Let's go out with, let's do like a little Karate Kid pose, everybody, and show our, Sebastian's got the crane. He's looking like ISIS.
I'm got paid the fence.
Okay. Oh, yeah, there you go. Pay the fence. Okay. Thanks, everybody, for watching. And
Fans.
we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Say bye.
Thank you, Lorenzo.